Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 302 of CryptoBiography, and it's part 9 of The Brick Wall. And here we go. It was Sunday, so Lydia did not have work. He went in and knocked at her door. "Hi, Lyd," he said when she opened it. She was looking at his time-darkened bruises, but not with fear or disgust. She instead finished that appraisal and then looked into his eyes. She saw something there. She took his hand and led him gently to the love seat. She sat him down, held up a finger for him to be patient, and got a couple of glasses of water. She gave one to him. "Something happened," she said. She sat beside him. She drank some water, then put the cup on the side table and took his free hand in hers. He had to tell her. Something I'm a little ashamed of. Some part of him felt a great stirring because she didn't show shock or disappointment. She simply waited for him to unburden himself. He told her. He told her about how he took a job from Jake without thinking it over or getting the details, despite her warnings. How he helped shake down some man who owed some other man some money. "I didn't lay a hand on him, but it could have gone another way very easily," he said. "I'm certain that if I do more of these, I will end up having to hurt people. I don't want to do it. I'm so close to making money boxing, but I can't afford to get there from here without making money from Jake's jobs or something probably equally bad. I just don't know what to do." He surprised himself by finding his voice cracking slightly. Lydia put a hand on his cheek. "Carson, I realized something just now. I love you." He looked at her into her eyes. "I love you, Lydia." "Good, then let's solve this together. Is that everything? I want to know the whole picture." "Yes, that's everything. Wait, no," he added, remembering. "It's everything about Jake's job, but there's something else bothering me." He described Bill's request that he find something within himself that would allow him to release himself while fighting. Lydia shook her head. "Two difficulties to think about. But you know what? Now that we know what they are and how we feel about each other, we can work on them together." She kissed him deeply and then straddled him, kissing him and holding his face. His bruises did not seem to hurt somehow. He held her tightly and kissed her back. The next morning, she woke him up with a kiss, then laid back down beside him. "I've been thinking," she said. "I haven't," he said. She laughed. "I'm not sure how to solve your fighting problem, but there is a way to solve your money problem without doing any of Jake's dirty work." "How?" "Make it our problem. Alone, you might not make it to the first fight, but I have a little money. If we put it together, we can get you to your first fight." Carson thought about it. "Like partners?" "Something like that, yes." "I want more." "More?" He turned his head to her. "Marry me." She climbed up over him so she could look into his eyes directly. "Are you sure? We haven't known each other long." "You helped me. You understood when I told you about the job I did for Jake. You're every kind of beautiful. If you'll have me, I'll be your husband. We'll get through this thing together." She lay her head down on his chest and just felt his chest rise and fall with his breath. "Yes." "Yes?" "Yes. In a couple hours, when the government buildings are open, we go to the courthouse and get a wedding from the Justice of the Peace." "I love you, Lydia, and I love you, Carson." They were married before 10 o'clock that morning. Their honeymoon was no travel at all, but Lydia had asked for the day off and the reason, and they spent every moment in each other's arms. Carson quit his apartment that day as well. Arm in arm with Lydia, they moved his few belongings to her place, now their place. It was a day of bliss, with his only pang happening when he thought of his family, and how they would never meet his bride. Of course, Lydia, as he had discovered, had been an orphan from infancy, and so she had no family either to meet him. "But I have several friends that are like my family, and you've not met them yet," she said. They were having dinner. "Most of them are at my work, and since we have long hours, we don't get a lot of social time together. Not as much as we'd like. But we talk, and they've heard all about you." "All good, I hope," Carson said. "Oh, yes, except for the best parts, which are all bad. A fighter, and now a dangerous leg breaker." But she was smiling when she said it. He leaned over and kissed her. They spent every possible moment together the next few days, though Lydia had to work, and whenever she was, Carson was working at the gym. Still, they got to know each other, every last bit. Before the week was out, Carson could no more imagine a day without a kiss from her as a minute without breathing. His second bout, another sparring match, was upon him that Saturday. This time it was a man from another gym, who also was new and needed a warm-up match. Carson didn't know anything about the man, never saw him or met him. He kept working out hard, up until one day before the match, when he started taking it easy before the match. Lydia, he could tell, was getting nervous, but hid it well. He did his best to put her mind at ease, showing no fear of his upcoming match, though of course he was nervous. The night came, and the same crowd hustled in to see a good fight on the cheap. Carson saw a large man, actually taller than him, which was rare, enter and make his way to the ring. Bill came over to the corner where Carson was waiting and said to him, "He's big and he's strong, but he doesn't have what you have." "Oh, what do I have?" Carson asked. "Desire," Bill said. "You may not know how to unleash yourself, but you want this in a way I don't see any of my other boxers want it. So take it, grab this moment in your fists, and wrest it away from your opponent. Do this and you can win." Bill walked away, and Carson just watched him go. Then he took his time to warm up and prepare for the fight ahead. When he was called into the ring, he had the same underwater feeling, the same dull roar in his ears. This time, as the visitor, the opponent was the one introduced first. As last week, Bill called it out loudly in his raspy voice. "From Brooklyn, John, the Mortician, Goldman." The Mortician got into the ring, and though Carson perhaps was a bit wider than him, he was definitely taller. He must have been 6.5 feet tall or more. Carson hardly had met any men taller than him. Even when he was a kid and was introduced to his friends' parents, he was usually looking down at them. But not tonight. He got into the ring and looked up at the Mortician. Bill was calling out, "Carson, the Brick Wall Brax." This time the crowd seemed to be on his side, more or less. It didn't really matter much, though. He started to feel the same sort of wavy grayness, hear the same dull roar in his ears, as the moments right up to the first fight came. And there you have it. He's about to start his second sparring match. If you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, CryptoBiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. And thanks for listening. Words and music, copyright 2023, CryptoBiography LLC, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.